She walked daily, ate clean, yet had a heart attack at 67. No smoking, no alcohol, just one glass of healthy fruit juice each morning. But that drink was quietly stiffening her arteries. The twist? Quitting it dropped her blood pressure faster than pills. Stay with me. I'll show you which drinks protect your heart and which you should never touch after 60. Have you ever thought the drink you have each morning is helping your heart? I know how that feels. You try to eat clean, cut back on salt, move more, but something still feels off. Maybe you feel tired when you wake up, or your blood pressure jumps around even though you're careful, or your belly fat just won't go away. And sometimes the problem isn't what you eat, it's what you drink. After 60, your body becomes more sensitive. Your heart doesn't need fake energy. It needs quiet balance. That's why I want to share this with you, just the two of us. Because the drinks you're having every day, they could be gently hurting your heart without you even knowing. Today, I'll show you 4 drinks you should avoid after 60, and 4 simple drinks that can help prevent heart attack, naturally, without medicine. These are small changes, but for many people I've worked with, they made a big difference. So, grab a glass of water, sit back, and let's talk, just you and me. You know, many of my patients over 60 still think that diet soda is a better choice. No sugar, no calories, it must be safer, they tell me. But let me ask you something. Have you ever had that sweet, fizzy taste in your mouth and felt like your body was still not happy afterward? That's not in your head. There's a reason your body reacts that way. Diet soda may not contain sugar, but it does contain artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, or acephane potassium. And while those chemicals don't raise blood sugar directly, they can quietly affect your insulin response, your gut, and your nervous system. For someone younger, the body might handle these signals better. But after 60, your metabolism, your pancreas, and your vascular system are simply more sensitive. There was a study here in the US that followed nearly 750 seniors over 10 years, and what they found surprised even the researchers. Seniors who drank diet soda every day had waists 4 times larger than those who didn't. Think about that. No sugar, no calories, but more belly fat? That fat around the belly isn't just about weight. It's linked to high blood pressure, insulin resistance, and hardening of the arteries, all of which raise the risk of heart attack and stroke. I had a lovely 66-year-old patient. She ate very carefully. Her BMI was in the normal range, but her belly fat wouldn't budge, and her blood pressure was still high, even though she never touched sugary sodas. I asked her, "Do you drink diet soda?" She nodded. "Just 1 or 2 a day. It helps me feel refreshed." I gently suggested she stop drinking diet soda for 2 months. Just try water or unsweetened iced tea instead. No medicine, no strict diet, just that one small change. And after 2 months, her belly fat started to drop, her blood sugar improved, and her blood pressure became more stable. She came back and said, "I can't believe something with no sugar could do so much harm." That's what I see all the time. Diet soda gives you the taste of sweetness, but it throws off your body's natural rhythm. Especially after 60, your heart doesn't need fake sweetness. It needs real balance. So if diet soda is still part of your daily habit, I just want you to pause and ask, is it worth the risk? Your body's been protecting you for decades. Maybe now it's time to return the favor. Let me ask you something. Have you been drinking a glass of orange juice every morning, thinking it's part of a healthy routine for your heart? You're not alone. Many of my older patients tell me, "Doctor, I gave up coffee. I start my day with orange juice now. It's natural." But here's the quiet truth. that bottled fruit juice you trust may be doing more harm than good, especially after the age of 60. Now, I want to be very clear. Whole fruits are wonderful. They're full of vitamins, antioxidants, and most importantly, fiber. But when fruit is juiced and bottled, the fiber is stripped away, and what's left is mostly sugar water, even if the label says 100% natural. Your body absorbs that sugar very quickly, and without fiber to slow it down, your blood sugar spikes sharply, which then triggers insulin, inflammation, and stress on the blood vessels. A major study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found something alarming. People who drank more than 1 glass of fruit juice daily had a 24% higher risk of dying from heart problems compared to those who drank less. And in 2019, BMJ published a study comparing soda and fruit juice. Guess what? Your body responds to both almost the same way. Fast sugar, no buffer. Inflammation starts to build quietly. I had a patient, 71 years old. He came to me feeling tired in the mornings. His LDL cholesterol was slightly high, and his CRP, the marker for inflammation, stayed elevated. He was proud he had switched from coffee to orange juice, thought it was a smart move. I gently explained, 1 glass of bottled juice contains the sugar of 3 to 4 oranges, but none of the fiber. It's not the same as eating the real fruit. He agreed to stop the bottled juice, started eating 1 orange with breakfast, and just after 4 weeks, his blood sugar dropped by almost 15 points. The morning fatigue faded, his body felt lighter, more steady. He said, "I never imagined juice could act like soda in my body." And that's the most dangerous part. These drinks sound healthy, but they quietly inflame your arteries, raise your blood pressure, and set the stage for stroke or heart attack. So if you're still starting your day with bottled juice, I'm not here to scare you, just to gently say, your heart might be asking for something different. Try switching to whole fruit. Chew it slowly, let your body recognize it. Sometimes, what your heart needs isn't something stronger, it's something closer to nature. Let me ask you gently, how do you take your morning coffee? If you're like many people I've worked with, you might say something like, just a little coffee with some vanilla creamer makes it smoother. That sounds simple, but here's something I hope you'll think about. Sometimes it's not the coffee that harms your heart, it's what you add to it. The powdered or liquid coffee creamers sold in stores, especially the flavored ones, often contain trans fat, added sugar, and synthetic additives. Trans fat is one of the most harmful ingredients for the heart. It's made by partially hardening vegetable oil, so the creamer stays creamy longer on the shelf. But once inside your body, it does real damage. It raises LDL, the bad cholesterol, lowers HDL, the good cholesterol, and causes inflammation in your blood vessels. That's why the FDA banned trans fat from being considered safe back in 2013. But the truth is, small amounts can still show up in your food, and labels can legally say 0 grams if the amount is just under 0.5 grams per serving. Now think about this. If you add creamer to 2 or 3 cups of coffee each day, those hidden grams of trans fat can add up fast. And over time, they quietly wear down your arteries. I remember a 70-year-old gentleman who came to see me. Very careful with his diet. No salty food, no alcohol, no fried meals. But his blood pressure kept spiking. He didn't understand why. When I asked him to walk me through his daily routine, he said, "Well, I do love my coffee. 3 cups a day, each with a splash of vanilla creamer." That small detail, so often overlooked,
turned out to be the key. I suggested he switch to regular milk or a plant-based creamer without hydrogenated oils. 3 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped by 12 points. No medication changes, just that one small adjustment. And that's the thing. It's not always the big meals or the desserts. Sometimes it's the little daily habit that puts quiet pressure on your heart. There's also another ingredient in many creamers you might not expect: titanium dioxide. It's used to make the creamer look smooth and white. But in animal studies, it's been linked to liver stress and metabolic imbalance. Now, I'm not saying 1 teaspoon will hurt you, but over time, especially after 60, your heart becomes less forgiving. You've spent a lifetime caring for others. Maybe now it's time to care for the tiny habits that care for you. So tomorrow, when you reach for that creamer bottle, just pause and ask, is this giving me comfort or quietly stealing from my heart?
Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever reached for an energy drink when you were feeling a bit tired in the morning, or before a walk, a round of golf, or even light housework? I know you might think, well, I don't drink soda, just something with a little boost. But here's the truth. For people over 60, energy drinks are one of the most dangerous choices you can make. Why? Because your heart at this age no longer responds well to strong artificial stimulation. And that's exactly what energy drinks are built for. One small can contain 160 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. That's the same as 4 to 5 cups of strong coffee, but in just a few sips. And that's not all. They also mix in stimulants like taurine, guarana, and refined sugar, all designed to give a burst of energy, but with zero regard for what it does to your heart. A study from the Journal of the American Heart Association tested this. Healthy adults, no prior heart conditions, drank just 1 can of energy drink. Within an hour, their heart rate jumped, their blood pressure climbed sharply, and those effects lasted over 6 hours. Now imagine that effect on a heart that's 60, 70, 80 years old, a heart that's already been through a lifetime of work. I remember a case from a colleague in the ER. A man in his early 60s drank 2 energy drinks before hitting the gym. 15 minutes into his workout, he collapsed. When he arrived at the hospital, his heart rate was 160, blood pressure over 180, and his heartbeat had become irregular. No history of heart disease, didn't smoke, didn't drink alcohol, but those 2 little cans pushed his body too far. Energy drinks often come in aluminum cans, lined with BPA, a chemical that can disrupt hormones and raise blood pressure even more. So it's not just the caffeine, it's the chemical cocktail, the sudden overstimulation, and the complete disregard for what your heart can truly handle. You might feel sharper for 15 or 20 minutes, but the stress on your heart could last hours, or worse, lead to a stroke or arrhythmia in someone who already has silent damage. The truth is, after 60, your body doesn't need more speed. It needs more support, more balance, more gentleness. So if you're still keeping an energy drink around, just in case, I invite you to let it go. There are better ways to feel alert without putting your heart in danger. And now that we've gently walked through the 4 drinks to avoid after 60, I want to shift with you towards something more hopeful. Let me show you 4 drinks your heart may actually thank you for. Simple, natural, and powerful in their own quiet way. Let's take a breath together. After talking about what to avoid, I want to gently share something that can truly support your heart, not with force, but with steadiness. Green tea. It's one of the simplest, most well-studied drinks when it comes to heart health, especially in older adults. Not just because it's less bad than coffee or soda, but because it brings active protection to your blood vessels. You see, green tea contains a group of natural compounds called catechins. One of the most powerful is called EGCG, and this compound does something very important. It helps lower inflammation. It supports the flexibility of blood vessels, and it reduces the damage caused by oxidized LDL cholesterol, the very type of cholesterol that forms plaque and blocks your arteries. There was a long-term study in Japan following over 40,000 adults, and the findings were clear. Those who drank at least 3 cups of green tea a day had a 26% lower risk of dying from heart problems. That number was even more meaningful in people over 60. Because at this age, the walls of your arteries start to stiffen naturally. But green tea helps them stay flexible, responsive, and calm. Let me tell you about Marie. She was 68 when she came to see me. She didn't have heart disease, but her heart would sometimes race in the afternoon, and her sleep at night was restless. She had been drinking a second cup of coffee around 3 p.m. just to stay sharp. I suggested she try something new. Switch her afternoon coffee for green tea, unsweetened, just mild. She did, and within 2 weeks, her sleep improved. Her heart rate stayed more stable. She even felt more clear-headed in the evening. 3 months later, her triglyceride levels dropped by 30 points without changing her medications. She told me, "I never knew a cup of tea could do this much." And I smiled. Because sometimes it really is that simple. Not every improvement needs to come from a pill. Sometimes it starts with what's in your hand at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're looking for a daily habit to support your heart, something gentle, something real, try a cup of green tea. Just once a day at first. Let your body feel it. Let your heart receive it.
Let me ask you something gentle. When you wake up in the morning, does your body feel a little heavy? Do your joints feel stiff? Your energy slow to return? For many people over 60, mornings aren't as light as they used to be. And the first thing you drink can either help your heart or hold it back. That's why I often recommend something so simple, some people don't believe it's powerful. Warm lemon water. Just half a lemon squeezed into a glass of warm water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Now, this may sound like a home remedy, but there's real science behind it, especially for heart health, blood pressure, and inflammation. Lemons are rich in vitamin C, a nutrient that does more than boost the immune system. It actually helps strengthen the walls of your blood vessels. It supports the production of collagen, reduces oxidative stress, and gently improves how your arteries expand and relax. A large review, looking at over 29 clinical studies, was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. It showed that taking vitamin C daily could lower systolic blood pressure by an average of 3.8 mmHg and reduce CRP, a key marker of inflammation. Those are not small numbers, especially when your arteries have already been under pressure for decades. I once worked with a 65-year-old woman, no major illness, but always tired in the morning. Her digestion was poor, and her blood pressure would swing up and down. She didn't want more pills. She just wanted to feel lighter. I suggested something very simple: warm lemon water every morning. No sugar, no tea, just lemon and water. 1 month later, she returned with a quiet smile. Her CRP had dropped. Her pressure was more stable. And she told me, "I feel less irritated, more awake without caffeine." You see, after 60, your body doesn't need more stimulation. It needs more support. And vitamin C does exactly that, calmly. gently, every day. You don't need to buy a supplement. You don't need to spend on fancy powders. Just a fresh lemon and a moment of care for your heart when you first wake up. Try it tomorrow. Drink it slowly. Feel what your body says in return. Sometimes, the softest things make the biggest difference.
Can I ask you something gentle tonight? When was the last time you went to bed and truly felt rested in the morning? Not just sleep, but that deep feeling of lightness in your chest and shoulders when you wake up without pressure, without heaviness. I meet many patients in their 60s and 70s who say, "I'm not sick, doctor, but I don't feel well either." Their tests are normal, but they feel tired, heavy, inflamed. And for people like that, I often suggest something soft, something warm, something ancient. Turmeric milk. Some people call it golden milk. It's a traditional drink used for centuries in Indian medicine, but now even modern science is catching up. The key is curcumin, the main active ingredient in turmeric. And what curcumin does best is reduce inflammation. Inflammation is what stiffens your arteries. It's what causes pressure in your chest, aches in your joints, and makes your blood vessels less responsive. But curcumin works by calming down the same inflammatory markers that lead to heart disease. Things like NF-kappa B, TNF-alpha, and interleukin-6. When these stay high over time, your heart works harder, quietly, every single day. One study, published in the American Journal of Cardiology, showed that adults who took curcumin supplements had lower CRP, better blood vessel function, and more stable blood pressure. But you don't need a supplement to feel the benefit. You just need a warm glass of milk, plant-based or dairy, mixed with a little turmeric, a pinch of black pepper to help absorb it, and maybe a bit of cinnamon or ginger if you like. I remember a 69-year-old woman, retired teacher, no chronic disease, but every morning she said her back felt tight, her neck stiff, and her mood low. She didn't want sleeping pills. She just wanted to feel light again. I suggested golden milk before bed. She was skeptical, but agreed to try. After 2 weeks, she said her sleep was deeper. Her muscles didn't feel as tight. And when she woke up, her breath felt calmer, her mood steadier. It didn't fix everything, but it gave her body room to heal itself. And that's what I want for you too. Not more medicine, not more pressure. Just something warm, grounding, and nourishing for your heart. So tonight, if you feel a bit restless, or if your body feels tight in places you can't explain, try turmeric milk. Let it be more than a drink. Let it be a signal to your body that it's safe to slow down. Let me ask you something that not many people dare to answer honestly. Do you still enjoy a little red wine with dinner? Or maybe you've been told to give it up completely, and now you're not sure if it's helping or hurting. I've had this conversation many times, and here's what I want to tell you. Red wine is not the enemy, but like many things in life, the dose makes the difference. In some of the longest living communities in the world, places like Sardinia, Icaria, and certain parts of France, older adults often enjoy a small glass of red wine with their evening meal. They live into their 80s and 90s with fewer heart attacks, fewer strokes, and more clarity in their minds. So why is that? The benefit doesn't come from alcohol itself, but from what's inside the skin of red grapes. Resveratrol is the key compound. It's a natural antioxidant that helps protect the lining of your blood vessels. It prevents the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, which is the very first step in plaque buildup
and blocked arteries. But resveratrol also reduces low-level inflammation, the kind that slowly damages your heart without any warning signs. But there's more. Red wine also contains flavonoids and quercetin, both of which help improve blood flow, relax blood vessels, and prevent clots. One study published in Nature followed adults over time. Those who drank about 150 milliliters of red wine daily, just a small glass, had nearly 30% lower risk of dying from heart disease than those who didn't drink at all or drank too much. But here's the part that matters most. That benefit disappears if you go beyond the safe amount. After age 60, your liver slows down. Your nervous system becomes more sensitive, and even a small excess in alcohol can raise blood pressure, disturb your sleep, and leave you feeling foggy the next day. So if you enjoy red wine, here's what I suggest. 1 small glass, around 5 ounces, with food, preferably dinner. Never on an empty stomach, never alone. Because in the communities where wine is protective, it's not just about the drink. It's about slow meals, connection, balance, and moderation. I had a 72-year-old patient, very sharp, very thoughtful. He asked me if he had to give up his glass of red wine. I said no, but make sure it comes with company and a full plate, not isolation and stress. So if you choose to drink, let it be intentional, measured, and respectful of your heart. You've earned the right to enjoy life, but also the wisdom to know when enough is enough. So here we are, at the end of this quiet journey through your glass. Some drinks bring temporary pleasure, but long-term harm. Others offer gentle healing, but ask for patience and consistency. If you're over 60, your heart doesn't need more stimulation. It needs more support, more rhythm, more grace. So I ask you gently today, what will you put in your cup tomorrow?